Don't Look Down, a Divine Comedy sampler. Ahoy hoy everybody, and welcome to this video, which is my contest entry for Richard McCook's 500 subscriber contest. That's the word I was looking for. Richard McCook, one of my favourite YouTubers, prominent member of the vinyl community, very prolific, great guy, I was going to say great taste in music, but, you know, wombles. He's got a huge breadth of taste in music, similar to me in a way, you know, I don't mind a bit of cheese and I don't mind a bit of classic stuff, you know, highbrow and lowbrow if you like. So as I've just jested, you know, Richard is equally at home showing Womble's albums as he is showing Bob Dylan albums, for example. Really great guy. We converse in the comments to each other a lot. He's kindly given me a shout out on his channel in the past. I've mentioned him in a number of videos as well. So just great guy. Highly recommend you check out his channel. I will put the link in the comments below, not the comments, description below. That's the word. My brain's all a bit fuddled because we got a new kitten yesterday and life has turned upside down. She's asleep somewhere now, so I won't disturb her and to show her to you, but I'm sure you will see her at some point. Anyway, yes. So his contest was to come up with a 6-track sampler for one of your favourite artists or bands. Just a sampler primarily being a taster for people who aren't familiar with a band to get them into the band. He did have the rule though that you weren't allowed to include singles that were released in your country, which unfortunately for me means all their singles because I am doing the Divine Comedy, my favourite band, and all their singles have been released in the UK, so I've got no wiggle room there. So I've picked my 6 tracks. There's nothing from their last few albums. It doesn't mean I don't like their last few albums. However, it does mean that the best, most representative tracks on those albums were the singles. So there's some other great tracks on all of them. I mean, they've yet to do a track that I don't like, but sort of, you know, the ones that would really hook somebody into the band were the singles on those later albums, unfortunately. So yes, Divine Comedy, Irish band, fronted by and primarily is Neil Hannon. Originally it was a 4-piece, I think, with him and 3 bandmates from his school. They released, they signed to Satanta Records in Ireland and released Fanfare for the Comic Muse, which is very R.E.M. wannabe music. They then dissolved. Neil kept the Divine Comedy name, and then he really counts the start of a band as from there onwards. Released over the years, I think it's 11 albums, greatest hits, couple of live, well, one proper live album and one album which you will see that was recorded live but is new material. DVD, live DVD come out. This year they are celebrating 30 years in music, 30 years since the release of Liberation, their first album. No, 30 years since Fanfare for the Comic Muse, sorry. To commemorate, they're re-releasing all the albums on vinyl and on CD, loads of bonus tracks and DVDs and all sorts. Really good reissue campaign. They are due out in August. So the only stuff I have on vinyl at the moment is their last 2 albums, Foreverland and Office Politics. So what I'll be showing you here is CDs. But in a couple of months' time, I would have been able to show you the albums. In theory, I'm going to see them in September play their first 10 albums over 5 nights, 2 albums a night at the Barbican in London. Officially, it's still happening. I can't see it happening, but officially it's still happening. But I have tickets for all nights whenever it happens. Anyway, enough waffle, that's already 5 minutes. So yes, I am entitling this compilation, or this sampler, Don't Look Down. And track 1 is Don't Look Down, which is from Promenade, or Promenade, but Promenade. Don't Look Down is a magnificent song. The whole album is a story of a date between two young lovers. And the stories sort of the song sort of progress through the night. So it starts off with them getting ready, meeting up, reminiscing, going to the cinema, eating, going back to his flat, etc. And the song Don't Look Down, which is halfway through, is them at the fun fair going on a carousel, or a Ferris wheel rather, not a carousel. It's a brilliant song. It's got a magnificent introduction that just builds and builds and builds. First time I saw them live, they opened with Don't Look Down, and the band were playing the introduction, and then Neil finally walked on and went into the song, and it was just perfect opener. The story of it is brilliant. They get stuck at the top of the Ferris wheel, and it gets windy, and they're getting shaken about, and then the male protagonist has a conversation with God, except he's an atheist. So it's lines like a God who really ought not to exist, and all this atheistic tosh I'm spouting off. The wordplay and lyrics are just amazing throughout Divine Comedy's songs and albums and career and everything. But yeah, so that's track 1, Don't Look Down. If I can, I'm going to link in the description below. I think all these are probably on YouTube. I was going to play them in, but I had to look and they'd get deleted anyway. So I will try and do a little playlist at the bottom of the YouTubes of these songs. Number 2 is from Casanova. So this was their big breakthrough album, containing Something for the Weekend and Becoming More Like Alfie and Frog Princess, which are all big hit singles. The track I'm choosing is probably their best known song, between this and National Express, but people don't know the song as the song, because what I'm choosing is Songs of Love, which is a song based around the theme that Neil wrote to Father Ted. So the middle 8 solo-y bit in Songs of Love is the do 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 do, the Father Teddy bit. But it's a great song. It's a beautiful acoustic story song of sorts. It's basically about teenage boys sat composing songs about women that they'll never really meet or never really have. It's just a great song, getting, as always, great lyrics, and it's one, so people are going to listen to it and go, oh, I know that, and initially they won't know why, and then they'll get to the middle 8, or it's not really the middle 8, it's the solo bit anyway, and go, ah. So number 2, Songs of Love, and then we move on to our next album. So this is albums 3, 4 and 5 in Divine Comedy's career so far. This is Fin de Siècle. So this has got National Express on it and Generation Sex and Certainty of Chance are all singles. There's a couple I could have chosen from here, but I've gone for Sweden, which is a song I've loved from the second I heard it. It's just an amazing song. I've included it because it's a bit different. It's less orchestral and I was going to say whimsical, but that's not really the word, but floaty ballady. This is punchy. It's basically a rock song, but not really rock. It's a bit bombastic rock. Really great song, as I say. I just absolutely love it. It's called Sweden, and it is about Sweden, and he's very good at list songs, and it sort of lists people from Sweden and reasons Sweden's famous, but it's just so much oomph and power to it. It's absolutely great. There is a different version of that song. There is a B-side to think it was National Express. I think it was the National Express cassette, or it was definitely a cassette single of one of the singles from this. It was called The Heart of Rock and Roll, and it's exactly the same tune, but with entirely different lyrics. Humpty Dumpty felt so... I can't even remember it. Anyway. But yeah, it's equally as good, but Sweden... I was going to say equally as good, but Sweden is better. That doesn't make sense. It is still really enjoyable, and it would have worked, but Sweden just takes it up a notch. So that's track 3. Track 4, and we skip an album, but we're coming back to it. And we go to Absent Friends. And this was sort of Neil's... So the album that we'll be coming back to in a moment was Neil trying to get away from the classic Divine Comedy sound, and it was a more indie sound. But then he dissolved the band and went back to working pretty much solo, and produced Absent Friends. Come Home Billy Bird was a single from this, as was the title track. I Am Choosing Our Mutual Friend, which is a great, great story song about the protagonist, so Neil, is introduced by a mutual friend to a woman, tells the story of their night together, getting to know each other. He thinks falling in love, but there's a twist at the end. It's brilliant. As I say, songwriting, it's very orchestral backing to it. There's nice little nods to Walker Brothers in there at one point. Just really strong, funny, and wonderful. I mean, Neil's voice is just amazing, and it's wonderfully sung. So that's Our Mutual Friend. So yes, the album prior to that was Regeneration, and this was, as I say, Neil he'd left Satanta and he signed with Parlophone, and he wanted to make a clean break of it, so this was more of a band album. And although Neil did write all the songs, and he got Nigel Godrich in to produce it, who of course produced Radiohead and Travis and various other people, and it's definitely got a more indie vibe to it. It's took a lot of people by surprise. A lot of fans weren't keen initially, but it's an album that's sort of grown its reputation over time. I've always enjoyed it. Saw them perform it all live at a gig, a warm-up gig at Portsmouth Wedgwood Rooms, which was excellent. It was just so different, but Neil's songwriting was still there at the core of it, and it's got some great songs on it. Bad Ambassador is one of my favourite Divine Comedy songs. That was a single, as was Perfect Love Song and Love What You Do. I am picking Mastermind. It's just a beautiful, beautiful ballad, but with that indie feel. And it's sort of on here just to show that side to them, really. You know, I did have a different version of this list that didn't have it on. But I've wanted to represent this period because it is a very important period in their career. And it's just a lovely song. And then the final track is track 6. And this is from a short album about love. So this was recorded between Casanova and Fin de Siècle. So this is... I might, is this an album or is it not? It's 7 tracks. It's only about... It's less than half an hour, I think. It's called A Short Album About Love, so it is an album, I suppose. So really, when I said the next album earlier, I wasn't really figuring this in. But yes, this was recorded live. Neil wrote all the songs. Then he put on a gig at the Shepherd's Bush Empire, which was at that time the biggest gig of their career. And with a full orchestra for the first time. And for the actual gig, they performed these songs and other songs, and that was recorded, but the whole sound check was recorded, and that's what more or less makes up this album. I nearly picked In Pursuit of Happiness, which is one of my favourite Divine Comedy songs, and it will also be familiar to people because the instrumental section was used as the theme to Tomorrow's World for a number of years. Everybody Knows Except You was a single, was a big hit, but I'm going for If because it's just a beautiful song that always makes me laugh. It's another list song, and it's basically a list of using Neil as the protagonist again, what Neil would do for the woman he loves. So if you have a road, I'd go all the way. If you have a night, I'd cry in the day. If you have a day, I'd cry through the night, because you are the way, the truth and the light, and so on. And then towards the end, it's if you're a horse, I'd clean the crap out of your stable. If you were a dog, I'd feed you scraps from off the table, though my wife complained. It's just, you know, really, it's funny. It's just, but it's a beautiful song, and the orchestration on it is excellent. So that is my 6 tracks. However, I'm cheating a bit. On the CD, there's going to be a hidden track at the end, because I wanted to show a quirky side that you wouldn't normally get on these, but I wanted to show it. So this is from his latest album, Office Politics, which is a double album, single CD, but double album. And track 13 is Philip and Steve's Furniture Removal Company, which starts with Neil. It's a voice memo that he's obviously done, probably while out walking in the dog or something. Idea for a sitcom. Philip Glass and Steve Reich, is it? I can't remember. Is it on the lyric sheet? Yes, it's Steve Reich. Idea for a sitcom, Philip and Steve's Furniture Removal Company, based on the early lives of Philip Glass and Steve Reich in New York in the 1960s. Many hilarious gags about the repetitive nature of the work and the phases that Steve's life goes through. Theme tune would be a bit like this, and then it goes into the song. And basically is the title repeated many, many, many times. And then there's a voiceover towards the end. And it's sort of like, the voiceover is sort of like an advert for the furniture removal company. As I say, it's just really quirky. It's really catchy. It's a lot of fun. Went to see him live last year, thinking, you know, promoting this album. And there was 2 tracks I thought they'd never do live because they were just so bizarre and off the wall. And he did both of them. But yeah, so that's a hidden track at the end, just to really show the quirky. It's electronic as opposed to most of their other stuff. It's just something a bit different, hidden at the end, just to show that they're not all orchestral, ballady type songs. So that's it. That's my entry. I wasn't expecting it to be quite so long, but I do like to waffle about things I love about things I love. But yes, well done, Richard, on getting the 500. Hugely deserved. As I said before, if you don't watch Richard's channel, do. Hugely enjoyable. He's very prolific. He always was, but especially during lockdown, while he's been furloughed, he's been doing 4 or 5 videos a week, most weeks. Yeah, highly recommend Richard. And top guy as well. Thank you for watching. Like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in another video. Thanks. Bye.